Hi, Rhiannon. I just wanted to ask you a question as an expert on divorce. How can somebody survive living with their partner while they're going through a divorce? It must be a really tough situation to deal with. What's your advice on that?
It really is tough, but it's becoming more and more common, actually, that people are remaining living in the same house while they're going through the legal process. And I think there's probably three main reasons for that. First one is that they don't want to move out. So it's as simple as, I don't want to be the one that moves out of the property. So it's a bit of a power struggle. It might be down to affordability. So a lot of people can't even think of separating when it comes to living arrangements until they've got their financial settlement in place. So they have to hang tight until the end of the legal process to be able to move on. Or what tends to happen is solicitors advise their client, don't be the one that moves out of the property. And actually, what I want to say about that is it does not affect anybody's legal or financial rights to a property if you do decide to move out of the property. If you're a married couple, the family home is part of the financial pot. I think that's really important, because I think a lot of people stay living together when actually they shouldn't, because it's affecting their mental health. It's creating quite a lot of animosity. So, but if you are one of those people who has no choice but to remain living in the property, or you've made a decision that that's what's going to happen, I would suggest putting a few things in place. And the main thing is to create what I call house rules. So you're sharing this space with somebody you may not be getting on particularly well with, but you've got to work together to make that work for what will probably be several months of this legal process. So, the house rules could be, what are the sleeping arrangements going to be? Is one of you going to move out of the marital bed and into the spare room? What are you going to do about meal times? Are you going to, I've got one client and they have a rota as to how they use the kitchen. So they have different dinner times. So because they want to give each other as much space as possible. So it's not that they're at each other's throats, but they just want to be respectful of each other and have their own privacy. I think making sure that you keep the divorce separate to family life, which is obviously particularly important when you have children. So not talking about the divorce in earshot of the children while they're watching Netflix, or whilst you're making a cup of tea and they're in the room and your ex is there as well. So I think being patient, because it will take longer than people want it to, because you're in an uncomfortable situation, you want to be the other side of that. So being patient, being civil and respectful to each other, I think is crucial, and making sure you separate family life to the divorce process. So trying not to, so I've got one client and they don't talk about it, but they might email each other if they feel they need to have some communication about it. And that's the way that they're creating healthy boundaries around, we're sharing this home still, but we need to make sure that obviously we're protecting family life and keeping it separate from the legal process that's going on. But I think it can be really challenging for people. But it's important to do what you can to feel as comfortable as possible, and don't feel you have to stay put if you are in a position financially where you could actually live separately while the legal process goes through.